So tonight I'm going to talk to you about the story behind the headline, Man's Face Found in Testicle. So that sink in for a second. Man's face found in testicle. Now when I read the headline, Man's Face Found in Testicle, my first thought was, this is probably a story about a man who's woken up to discover he doesn't have a face. And his wife takes him off to hospital. Of course he can't take himself there, he's got no eyes, it's just disappeared, it's blank. And he gets the doctor, and the doctor's baffled. Why does this man not have a face? It's very bizarre. They're at a loss until they hear the muffled cries of help in the man's swollen scrotal sac. And sure enough, man's face found in testicle. It's there. A good news day, I'm sure you'll agree, for families around the world who have a son born without a face. You can imagine the scene at the birthing pool. I'm afraid to tell you, Mrs. Smith, that your son has been born without a face, but don't worry. Don't worry. Sometimes they just hide inside one of their little nuts. We'll have a look for you. Now, of course, that wasn't the story. And when I read further, I discovered that the story is actually about a 45-year-old man who went to his doctor. He was suffering a lot of pain in this, if you don't mind me doing this, we'll call it the testicular area. And as part of the diagnostic process, he was given what's known as a scrotal ultrasound. Now I know what you're thinking, that's an excellent name for a band. We go off the scene tonight. Scrotal ultrasound. Pretty amazing. So I've already taken that one. So any budding musicians in the audience, my band, scrotal ultrasound. So he was given the scrotal ultrasound. It's not. It's a diagnostic tool to help you see inside the testicular area. And what this scrotal ultrasound revealed was that this man was suffering from a condition known as epididymal orchitis, which, as we all know, is swelling of the testicular area. In addition to this, there was a tumorous growth. And this tumorous growth, it turned out, resembled a face. Now, that's pretty weird. I was intrigued by this story, and the story that I read didn't have very much detail, so I contacted the authors of this original academic paper. I'm an academic myself, and I wrote to them. I said, I'm really interested in your story. Can you send me your paper? Sure enough, they fired it back. Please, can you let me know if you ever cite our paper in any academic circle? So of course I'll be telling them about this. And when they sent me this paper, they have a really good account of discovering this face. So I'm going to read it to you in my best academic voice. While scrolling through the ultrasound images, that's how we speak when we're in the university setting. Hello! While scrolling through the ultrasound images, we're amazed to see the outline of a man's face staring up out of the image, his mouth agape, as if the face seen on the ultrasound scan itself was also experiencing severe epididymal orchitis. And then there's a reference to figure 1. And if you look at figure 1, you'll see the aforementioned image. It looks something like this. You just imagine a bit less facial hair and a bit more pubic hair. And then they continue with their story. The testicle was removed. Well, why waste time? The testicle was removed, and the mass was discovered to be harmless. So, good news. Now, there's no indication in the paper how they discovered that this testicle was harmless, or this growth was harmless. But I like to think that they use a bit of common sense. They just asked it. I say, Friend or foe? Friend or foe? I'm just in a lot of pain right now. So that was that part. And I'm an experimental psychologist, and none of you know what that is. Maybe some of you do, but I'm interested in this story because people they saw a face when a face wasn't actually there. So there wasn't actually a face inside the man's scrotal sac. That didn't happen. What he had was a number of cells that appeared to be a face. Now, in my work as an experimental psychologist, I'm interested in how our brains make sense of the world. So all the time we have information coming in, and our brains are doing stuff with it, and then we have some sort of perception. Now, faces are one of the most important visual stimuli that we'll ever come across. And then that's not meant some sort of pun. We ever encounter in our daily lives. It's very simple to work out why. Faces are attached to bodies, and bodies stab and rape and kill. So it makes a lot of sense for us to be able to identify faces whenever they're there, even if they're not there at all. So our brains have this sort of default where we'll see a face and then we go, actually it's no harm at all, it's fine. So when I was investigating the story further, I was interested to see how this was reported more widely in the media. Because if you're an academic, it's very frustrating. You do your work, you put forward the paper, and then the media just make a mockery of it. And while searching for information about this story in the media, I found the following headline. The testicle was removed. This is the bit from before. I'll just go down the page. Face discovered in testicular tumour. This is an actual news headline. Face discovered in testicular tumour. But is it Jesus? Now, I'm not a religious man. But if I was Jesus, I don't think I personally would have chosen the enlarged scrotal sac of a 45-year-old man to make my first public appearance in over 2,000 years. However, the author of this paper, he was quite compelling. He argued that if this was Jesus, then his proximity to the male reproductive organ would almost certainly render this man's sperm holy. But of course, only during the second coming. Thank you. So there you have it. That's the story behind the headline, "Man's Face Found in Testicle." But the authors of the paper didn't stop there. They knew that there are crazy people in the world, and that they may try and claim this face for their own. So the paper continues. So having found this image in the scrotal ultrasound, academic wise, a brief debate ensued on whether the image could have been a sign from a deity. Perhaps Min, the Egyptian god of male virility. However, the consensus deemed it a mere coincidental occurrence, rather than a divine proclamation. So here you see they're laying claim to their face. None of you crazy people. So, here we have then the story behind the headline, "Man's Face Found in Testicle." Of course, it's only a small step away to imagine a world, if we have the world where the man's face is found in a testicle, it's only a small step to imagine a headline where the man's testicle is found in his face. And I hope to write that academic article one day. You can imagine a picture of a broad-shouldered man with a giant sphere where his head should be, and a caption underneath that simply reads, "Although the lack of facial musculature made it difficult to ascertain the man's internal emotional state, experts believed he was having a ball." Thank you very much.